Hi, and welcome to Together, the podcast where we teach and guide you in the art and the practice of sacred relationship so that you can experience the juicy benefits of the felt sense of more love, sweetness, intimacy, and connection. In today's episode, we are going over the sacred we, the way to love, live, and thrive in relationship.
And so we're going to cover 3 points. One is going to be how relationship lengthens our life and gives us greater health and vitality. The second, we're going to dive into what it means to live as a 2-person system in that we space together. And the third is we're going to actually talk about what does it look like to think and speak as a we.
Yeah, beautiful. And then the bonus that we're going to give you, if you stick till the end, is we're going to describe the map of how to communicate in a together way that actually leads to connection. Not just the idea and the wanting and the longing of it, but where you will actually feel connected, the practical, how to do it. And I just want to start off by naming, Courtney and I, you and I have been on this journey.
Are we?
Are we? We have been on this journey of breaking this conditioning that we've, adopted from an environment growing up, culture, school, all the things. That is you, me consciousness. It's individualistic. It's living these parallel lives. We have been fumbling around for years and hundreds of hours of processing and conversations to really land in the sacred we, and have been receiving so many incredible benefits from it. But just naming, we have fumbled all the way through this and still do at times.
Yeah, this is one of those topics that I feel like I'm still very much a work in progress, and that I have celebration moments, I'm in the we, and then so many moments where I'm in the UI separation without even knowing it.
Yeah, and what I feel like we've gotten so much better at is bringing the we energy into the places as an allyship when one of us slips into the you me.
Yeah. And just to say, this morning, as we were mapping this out, and we were articulating what we were going to talk about, Mike looks over at me with this little look in his eye, and I'm like, yep, this morning I reflected something to Mike and I did not do it in this way. But it's like, nice. Okay, I'm going to be listening to this podcast with that part of me listening, learning too. Good reflection. Yeah.
Just to name, we're so grateful to all of you always listening to these podcasts, because this is part of how we integrate the daily teachings and the practice. Like I said in the intro, this is us teaching and guiding you, but in the practice, and I highlight practice, but this is our daily practice. Mm-hmm. We are practicing this minute by minute, day by day, week by week. This is how we've decided to live our lives, is intentionally build out the sacred we.
Yeah, and we want to dive into why. And this was a huge one for us. And I'm just going to give props, first of all, to Stan Takin, who I'm in his training. We feel really inspired by him, but I love how he says this. He says it so blunt. He just says, couples who are in rupture or disconnected, or people that aren't in coupleship, they will die sooner. They will die sooner, and they will be more unwell. Every minute that you are not in a connected space with your partner, or having someone that you're in a deep, intimate connection space with, you are losing minutes, hours on your life. And that is proven, that is shown, that people that are in partnership and people that are in healthy partnership with interconnectedness and coherence live longer. They're more well. They do better, just in general, and have more vitality, more energy. And really, the allostatic load, the stress load that happens in our nervous systems when we don't have safety with another person that's a part of our regular life, our daily life, Or if we're with someone and we're in stress rupture all the time, it takes a huge toll on our nervous system. Then we have cortisol pumping through our body all the time, whether it's in subtle or big ways. And it's actually affecting our brain function, our creativity, our health, our wellness, and our vitality, like how we show up in the world. And so if you just think of this, when we're really in that more like for me, when I'm in the like more like you and me and we're separate kind of, I tell myself the story that I can just make myself well. I can just make myself well by treating myself well and giving myself everything I need. And that's true to a point, right? But if I'm doing that and I'm not actually feeling interconnected or connected with another, I'm not getting co-regulation, I'm not experiencing that deep coherence with another, it literally is also chipping away at my health. And so I'm actually having to work harder to be well. I'm actually having to put more energy into being well. And this is especially true if we're in partnership, but we're living in a disconnected way where there's this pile up of stuff between us. There's all these little chips of stress that are chipping away at all of our liver and our kidneys and our adrenals and I want you all to take a moment and just think, what if all the aches, pains, ailments, struggles you have in your body could resolve or come into a much healthier place just by having healthier relationship? This is something that is not talked about enough, is how much our ailments actually are from lack of healthy interconnected relationship.
Yeah. Oof.
Oof.
That was such a leverage point for me when you shared this, because Courtney and I are always expanding our teachings, just to name. We're always working with our mentors and doing new certifications. And Courtney came back with that piece, that we credit, credit to Stan Takin, that just, it's so direct, clear, blunt. And I felt the truth of it spoken ripple through my body of like, oof. Yeah. If I don't work through my conditioning and patterning that's unconscious that feeds the you, me consciousness, and I don't move towards connection as the default, I will die sooner. That was like, oh, now you got my attention. Seriously? I'm going to die sooner if I don't rewrite this, if I don't repattern this way that I've learned from my childhood, from society, all the things. Okay, now I'm listening. And then now I had, more to draw on in those uncomfortable places.
Yeah, because then it's not the story of, well, until Mike figures out his shit, I'm just going to take space. And, he's got to really look at his stuff. And I'm just going to take space and I'm going to just take care of myself and I'm just going to be well. And, whatever, like whether we work through this or not, like this kind of voice that I'm acting this out, that's not like my voice isn't quite like that, but this is a general voice for all of us that lives. It's kind of like saying to it, yeah, sure, you could do that and you'll be more unwell. And it's actually going to take a toll on you. It's like, whoa, that is like in your face. And we've witnessed this firsthand. I have been tracking this. Before I even had this clarity about this, I was already tracking it because Mike and I have been coming into such a level of coherence and going a long time where we're in a level of coherence that then it's become more obvious when we're not. And I kid you not, folks, we tracked like every time we've had a big rupture since, or not even a big one, but just a rupture where we kind of lost the coherence. One of us has gotten sick or hurt every time. Like at one point it was like, as we were having the rupture, I felt my throat get sick and I got the flu. And I had been around the flu for like 2 or 3 weeks already and hadn't gotten sick. And as soon as my nervous system was going into stress, I got sick. And this is the thing, the second that we have relational stuff and we go into that cortisol place, our immune system crashes. So our immune system lowers. So literally, if we want to turn up our immune system, co-regulation, relational harmony, connection. If we want to turn down our immune system, rupture, disconnect, freeze, numbing each other out, hanging out for days and days in the rupture. And we've also tracked in our son that when we have relational misses and we're in that crunchy place, that he'll get hurt during that time.
Yeah.
Literally. And then turns out when we're in coherence, we don't get sick and our son doesn't have huge injuries. And so again, all of you listening, take a moment and think about this. What if, and maybe start noticing in your life, every time you get sick or something, really crazy happens in your world, just start tracking, like, were we in a relational rupture? Was there a disconnect happening at that time? Because that is also motivating when we start to track that. Like, believe me, for me to realize the longer me and Mike are in a rupture, the more likely my son is to get hurt or sick. That is very motivating to do something now and not just to be like, well, we'll deal with it tomorrow, or I don't really want to move towards right now. And,
Yeah, this is why I found, even since we've developed this podcast and having these conversations, and for all of you listening, you're part of these conversations, are so juicy because it brings the awareness to these deeper truths. Like, these are deeper truths. This is real. The one that really stood out. So once this information came in, my 40th birthday,
yes.
Most incredible birthday of my life. So much love, so much celebration. We're at the hot spring houses, 2 houses rented out. It's just like 3 days of just outpouring of love for all of us. And on the last evening, something happened where in my nervous system, and I tracked it, and I was like, oh man, I can't even hide from this. Part of me started to go into a little thing, and I needed co-regulation, but I didn't reach for it. I didn't ask for it. I didn't use my words. And I went and laid in bed, and I watched. I could just feel it. I could feel it in my body. And I remember thinking to myself, if I don't get up and mobilize and just ask Courtney to just like cuddle me for 10 minutes and get back into connection, like, that's not going to be good. And I ignored the voice, and I laid there to try to, I'll be stronger. I'll tough it out. The you, me consciousness. And I watched myself get sick. No one else in the house got sick. No one else. I'm the only one that got sick. And that is evidence. And I knew it. Like, when I looked back and we had this piece around how it will actually create an unwellness, I'm like, oh yeah, of course it did, because my body was just thumping cortisol in the disconnect. I was in distress. We are meant, in our biology, we are meant to move towards connection when we are in distress. That's why co-regulation is such a hot thing in, the world of personal development and relationship work. That is where the health is. And, and just a fun image of this is, we have these, in the science buffs, we have these white blood cells in our body that go around attacking the things that come into our system. That's what they're really good at. So if I, back to the birthday, this virus entered my system, white blood cells were rocking it until that place of distress. The cortisol is almost like this sludge that gets released inside of the system that the white blood cells just can't do their job. They're like, I'm trying, man, but I just can't do it.
Yeah, they're not needed. If we're running from a tiger, it's not wise for our body at that moment to be like, oh, and let's also fight off this little virus. It's like, no, we're not going to put energy towards that.
Yeah, it's not the time for healing and repair. It's the time for fight. And as a culture, this is what we're trying to repattern. This is, the whole culture of together is tending the sacred we space. Because if we can, as soon as those stressful moments happen, we can come back into connection. We're dissolving the cortisol and moving back into those juicy ones that we really, speaking for all of us, I'd say we prefer, is the dopamine and the serotonin. Mm-hmm. And that happens in connection. It happens.
And the oxytocin.
And the oxytocin.
Well, and what a shocker, hey? Like, our son 2 times has had a big accident. One time he fell off of my shoulder, and split his head open. The other time he fell off a wall. And I was just like processing each time we were in a rupture for longer than we should have been. In that moment, we weren't like fighting or anything like that, but it was just, we'd had a rupture and we were far apart and there was tension, right? And both times. And, you know, what's so fascinating about that is it's like, if you feel into that, our relational field is holding the coherence for our children. It's like the soup they're living in. And so for our son, both times they were just like things like, normally he's really solid walking on a wall. Normally he's really solid climbing up. But then, you know, here he is in this field that's sort of like numb and crunchy and tense. And both of our nervous systems are like, I have more cortisol, you know, so I'm not as attuned. And so then here he is, you know, just doing his thing. And then both times it was just like whoopsies, you know, and he got really hurt both times. It was such a wake up call to be like, holy shit, like there is absolute consequences to us deciding. And I want to say it this way, deciding to hang out in that place for longer than it needed to be. Because the other thing that Stan Tacken talked about, and this was so helpful for us, and I feel like I already knew it intuitively. I think all of us know it intuitively, but to have someone who's a researcher say it, like this is true, you know, he just said, if it takes you longer than 20 minutes to repair a rupture, you've already failed. It shouldn't take any longer than that. So if we're hanging out in that rupture place longer than that, there's some part of us that's choosing to do that. And then there's all these consequences to our own health and to our family members' health.
Yeah. And just to name it, you know, no shame or judgment in the places where, you know, and we've been here, we've spent hours processing one thing. That is an inappropriate amount of time to be processing anything. It's a hard word to say today. And so it's like, when we're in that, part of like the no shame and the no judgment around it is understanding that some part of our biology gets addicted to the cortisol, because there's a part of it where that, if that's the familiar, if that's what our system learned to do in a place of distress or disconnect, is like fight and argue and try to be right, there can be an addiction to it. And we want to just own that might be the way that the things have been running, and we want to intervene and be like, we're not going to do that. It's like bringing in the firm, loving mother and father and be like, we're here to bring you back into connection. It's like that part of us that goes there. It's like, no, little one, we're actually not going to do that. We're not going to feed this story of how Courtney is a villain and how she hates us and she's intentionally trying to hurt. No. Not helpful. I'm going to move right towards her. I'm going to make eye contact, and we're going to hold each other, and we're going to connect first. And then we're going to communicate about what just happened. Having this like bank of, we've got like 5 to 20 minutes to resolve this. And like, let's come back home. Let's come back to that sacred we.
Yeah. And, you know, for many of you, perhaps, you know, if we didn't have enough relational coherence around us when we were younger, it becomes normal. Like, oh, this is just how life is that we're getting hurt, we're getting injured, people are getting sick, and we're living in that stress. And we don't even know anymore that that's what's needed is emotional closeness and relational closeness, because we haven't had enough of that coherence to even have the barometer. And one of the things I want to just celebrate that Mike and I are experiencing, and we watch couples in our community experience, like one of the things that I always love is watching people become more and more well as they do the couples work in the community. And even through the call, like we do a practice, and by the end of the call, people look more vital. They look more alive. Their eyes are brighter. They look healthier. Like, and you watch it right in front of your eyes.
They're excited. They're enthusiastic. They're in this like elevated state. That's it. You know, when we look at Tony Robbins' work, it's the state change. They change state. Yeah.
And the thing is like people will even say, oh, I'm tired. And then by the end of the call, it's like, whoa, I have energy. And this is what we're talking about. And Mike and I are experiencing it firsthand. I'm noticing that because we're getting way better at repairing right away, we're not living in states of cortisol like that anymore. And I'm noticing I have more energy through the day. I'm noticing I have more creative energy. And I'm noticing that I have way more energy for sex. Like we're having a lot more sex because I actually have the bandwidth and the energy now, because at the end of the day, I'm not exhausted from all the low level cortisol, right? Because that like chips away at that vitality.
Oh, it really does. And now with this information, and this has been fun for me to notice when I look at just people relating in the world, people who are in that disconnect or that dysregulation, you can see that that is harming the vitality. That's preventing that natural state of thriving. You can see it. You can see it in the facial expressions. You can see it in the body language. You can tell that their system is processing something. Like I can see that when I look back at all these experiences of myself, almost like spanning out, looking back. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, I'm creating an unwellness because I'm spending hours of my day trying to orient myself inside and make sense of my hurt. But if I actually just penetrate through and out of that and come back to connection, guess what? I have way more like exciting ideas of what to create and what to do and go tend and work on the land. Like there's just so much more vitality online as we've been really digging deep to implement this. Like,
And what a cool thing to cultivate as a couple. It's like, wait a minute, now we are teammates. If I know that I can cultivate this 2-person system that we're going to talk about, and that's going to make you healthier, you more vital, you more well, and that you're going to be my teammate to make me more vital and me more well, that is really exciting, because suddenly it's not just I'm going to go do this myself. I've got myself. It's like, whoa, we can do this together. And then our whole family becomes more well. And that is fun. That's exciting. You know, the more that I can challenge myself to give you what you're needing and to love you up and to touch you and make friendly eye contact and be playful with you, that's actually going to make us more physically well. Fuck yeah.
yeah.
I want to do that. That's motivating. Suddenly it's not the little girl who's like looking for, but will you love me? Suddenly it's like the woman, the initiated woman who is like, hey, I want you to be more vital, more sexy, more mission focused. And I'm going to love you up so that happens.
Yeah. It's so much more fun. There's been so much more play.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a big one that's repatterned just the name inside of me with this really integrating the sacred we, really leaning in and digging deep for it.
Which we've been working on for 5 years.
Yeah. We've been working on it a long time. But things are just compounding. And this is the gift of even our community. That's the whole point of it, of this like year-long commitment of doing this work, is it just starts, each little layer, each practice, each teaching builds on itself. We've lived that. We've watched that in our own teachings that we're integrating. Is like we're hitting a compound effect where more securely attached, more experiences of safety and attunement and sweetness to lean into, to challenge any of those stories that that inner critic wants to present, you know, in the time of rupture. And some of the experiences that are repatterning are so enjoyable. And I'll be real here. There used to be a part of me, you know, since we have had Cedar, there's some nights where it's easier to like one of us go into the spare room and sleep separate. And then there was a part of me that I noticed somewhere along that journey in the last 3.5 years where I was like, oh, I think I actually kind of prefer sometimes to go sleep in the spare room, because I'm like in my own energy and I don't have to quote unquote deal with all of the distress that I'm feeling of the disconnect, or I don't have to communicate the uncomfortable thing that I was afraid to share or what need that I have. And tending the sacred we has been a game changer, because now I look forward to bed and being like together and sleeping as a family. It's so enjoyable to watch my inner dialogue approaching bedtime, to be like, oh, I can't wait to just like snuggle in, and oh, I can't wait to just, you know, feel Cedar wiggling around between us or on one side of us, and where we get to spoon each other. Like that has been so resourcing. And then I notice when I wake up in the morning, most of the mornings, unless it's, you know, trickiness can come up in the night, but most mornings I'm just already stoked for the day. Like we start in cuddle, we start in that co-regulation, and I notice it mobilizes me into this excitement of like, wow, yeah, let's go be in life. It feels good.
And I've loved it too. I'm noticing then throughout the day, because we're parents and we're busy, even if we don't get tons of connection time in that day, I've already started off the day with a deep sense of connection and a deep knowing that we're going to be together at the end of the day. And it creates this deep settle. And this is, I think this is the 2-person system. So moving into 2-person system, right? Like, what are we talking about here? Again, getting this language from Stan Takin, which we're like, that's just language we want to use right now because we feel like it describes it really well.
And what we call it is the sacred we.
The sacred we, which is where we are weaving together. We're looking at the fact that so many people are operating as a 1-person system, meaning I'm thinking about me and how I'm perceiving relationship is it's my job to tell you what I want and need and to advocate for myself. And then it's your job to take care of what you need and to advocate and ask. And this is sort of the way a lot of people think about relationship. A 2-person system is we're actually always thinking about the we. We're actually thinking about it as not just Mike and Courtney. This is this we space that we are tending, that we are a part of, and that is constantly something that we're engaging with, speaking to, embodying. And so, an example of, a 1-person system or just a you, me way of thinking would be Mike thinking, well, when I sleep alone, then I don't have to deal with and then I just get to be in my own space, and that feels great. But him thinking in terms of the sacred we is, whoa, when I move through my discomfort that can come up or some of the bumpy places, and I sleep with my family, it creates a lot more harmony and coherence for everybody. Everyone's needs get met better, and hence my needs get met better. So it's actually thinking less about what does Courtney need, even though I need to check in with that, but it's more, what does the system need? What's going to make the system better? And I had one this morning where I moved from the 1-person to the 2-person, where I was I had a hurt. I was triggered, and it really wasn't about Mike. There was a layer that was already triggered from yesterday that I was processing with a friend. And then I had a little rupture with Mike, and I was being with it. There was this like anger in my chest that I was like, oh, there's that little girl. There's her coping strategy. She wants to push away. She wants to make someone else bad, blame. So I was just being with that, and I was like, no, we're not going to do that. And just like breathing. So Mike comes in the room, and he lays down, and he's like, hey, sweetie, can I hold you? And that little girl was like, no, I need to be with my anger. I need to just like, I'm angry and I want space, is like what Courtney's nervous system said. If I just was thinking about Courtney, what Courtney needed is, I need space. I need to feel my anger. I need you to get away from me. And when I'm ready, I'll come back. And, that can be a healthy step sometimes to learn about ourselves. But then I fell into it bigger. But wait a minute, like Cedar's here. He can feel the rupture. Mike's here offering me a hug. Okay, so if I follow this thread and just do what Courtney's needing and wanting, then it's going to mean probably an hour or 2, maybe 3 or 4 hours of crunch, of uncomfortableness, Cedar feeling it, fussiness, Mike's nervous system being like, oh, what's going on? So if I think about what does the family field need, what's actually going to serve the we? Oh, if I let Mike hold me, because then my nervous system's going to start to soften. I'm going to start to come back into safety. And Cedar's going to feel that, and he's going to soften. And then we're actually going to be able to move through this in a more together way. And I chose that. And I had to kind of push through the part in me that wanted to just do what Courtney wants to join the we. And I was so glad I did, because the second he put his arms around me and held me, it's helped that younger part soften. and relax and choose the new path. It's the new path.
Yeah. And it's so fulfilling. Like some of the most fulfilling moments is moving through that conditioning and really tending that sacred we space. It's palpable. It is in the felt sense understood. You know, when we take in this information that we're putting into the mind and drop it down into the body, I can feel the evidence. Like I don't have to even, you know, fully understand it in the mind anymore. Now with this, you know, this foundational piece is like, I can feel this is better. This is more enjoyable. But as long as there isn't the resistance that really believes in the story of it should be you and me, like separate. And that's so big in culture. And I challenge the places where, you know, there's so many messages where it's like they got to figure out their own shit and that's theirs. And you got to heal yourself first before you can do this. And I don't think
it's so sad that he can't figure out his shit.
Yeah.
I just feel bad for him that he's stuck in his stuff and not able to meet me.
Yeah, which is Yumi consciousness. It's sneaky and sly to make it about other. But this isn't about, I got to go heal myself first. We are meant to heal together. We don't just heal ourselves. When there's relational hurts and relational ruptures, the healing is in the relationship. That's how it works. And so the more I've noticed we really move towards each other, like I'd say inside of myself, more of the default is moving towards. Like that's more the automatic default. Ooh, feeling comfortable. Ooh, I'm collapsing. Move towards, even though it's uncomfortable, because I know there's a benefit. The enlightened self-interest in it, you know, the personal development pieces, I will feel better. I will live longer. I will be happy. I will have a more satisfied partner. You'll be, you know, if you feel me moving towards you, that's probably going to help all the pieces you're processing and vice versa. And then Cedar's going to feel that. And, you know, we are so meant to just be in the field of connection, but it requires challenging the unconscious program that has us react in certain ways that has almost been reinforced by some systems and narratives of, yeah, just take a ton of space, go on vacation, just leave them and end the relationship. But there's like, we're inviting, like, lean in. What happens when you lean in and all the places you want to run away, withdraw, shut down, not use your voice, not share what you need, not communicate a boundary? What happens when you learn all those things and lean in? My imagining is everything you're looking for. You know, the salve and the balm to the loneliness, the feeling broken. It's actually, it all resolves in connection.
Yeah, and also we've really spiritualized the idea. It's in our culture very spiritualized that the more we're in a one person system, that makes us more spiritual. That makes us more evolved somehow. Like if I just fully am sovereign and I don't need anybody else and I'm just in that, somehow that makes me more spiritual. And yes, I do agree that we need to be able to connect in with our sovereignty so that we have a sense of Courtney. Like, for example, the difference between a two-person system and a codependent system would be where I'm not even checking in with Courtney. I'm hyper-focused on Mike. So it's just like Mike. That's not it. That's not a two-person system. That's actually still a one-person system. The two-person system is I check in with Courtney from Courtney's sovereignty. What is she needing? What's happening for her? Then, okay, now feel into the system. What happens when Courtney in the system? What's happening for Mike? And it's this sort of way of thinking as opposed to either hyper-focusing on just your partner and just doing whatever your partner needs, or just not even considering the whole. Because the other thing is sometimes it's not even giving your partner what they think they need, right? Because when you tune into the system, it might not be what Mike's nervous system thinks he needs or what Courtney's nervous system thinks it needs. It's actually, what does the system need? And that's actually going to serve Mike and Courtney.
Yeah, and this is where we can compound on, you know, the health and the wisdom of the narrative of personal development. You got to heal yourself. Yeah. And it's what I have noticed, like where they come together, is I have to, or I get to shorten the timeline of how quickly I can attune to myself and what I need, and so that I can actually mobilize towards connection. Because if
Yes.
I don't know myself, I don't know what my needs are or understand, my system will, just for survival, automatically move into negativity bias about whoever I'm relating with, and it'll push away, and then I'll feel better once I'm on my island and isolated and like, well, I knew it was them because now I feel better. But that's a bullshit story. It's not real. It's just a coping strategy to feel better. But wow, does it ever feel good when in the moment, like I'll have some clients ask me, like, I'll describe the inner process. Oh, when there's a rupture, this is what I do. I tend to little Mike and I feel that, oh God, yeah, totally, man. Give him the reassurance and then mobilize and then meet. Oh, what does Courtney need? What's happening in her world? And when I name the whole process, they're like, you do all of that inside while that happens? I'm like, yeah, that's the practice. When we are really skilled at something, it's actually not a lot of work. And this is what we're inviting, is like being the together way is practicing the sacred we space so many times in the day-to-day moments that it's actually just more easeful. And it does lead to the evidence of vitality, thriving, better sex, attraction. That's where it gets to become the play. I have found we play so much more if we devote to the practice of really leaning into the connection.
Aw, and we're able to like tease each other more and like make funny comments, and neither of us feels hurt by it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like even when we were starting this episode and we were like mapping it out, and then I kind of raised my eyebrow on the one piece of like, oh, and I kind of made a comment of like, yeah, so not in the, well, you didn't meet me. It's like,
Which I had done earlier.
Yeah.
I had said it in the way I shouldn't have said it.
And then, but it's like, then we get to play in the part where we're refining the places where we relate and how we communicate each other so that we are tending that sacred we. Our nervous systems, I've noticed it time and time again, when we are the allies and speaking in this, like we're doing this, and I'll save this because this is the bonus piece, but when we speak in this we language, it's really softening and safe and pleasurable. It's not just about safety here. It's like, it's enjoyable.
Well, you're moving into the third point, which is thinking and speaking as the sacred we. And so this is one of the skills, is we have to actually learn how to talk and speak and think in more of a we way throughout the day in our interactions. And, folks, it's so interesting to notice language, even the way we use language, right? Are we speaking in a we way? And are we thinking in that way? And learning to communicate it. So for example, if I go to Mike and I am feeling like maybe I'm feeling upset about something, I could come in and say, hey, I'm feeling this and you did that, right? Or I can come in and say, hey, as an example, our lovemaking and our intimate connection is so important to me. And I love how we value that. I love how that's such an important part of our life. I love how we've been cultivating it and putting a lot of energy. And I'm realizing that what I'm needing to be able to show up for our lovemaking in a better way is da 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 da. And so then there's a lot of nurturing of the we, a lot of speaking to the we first, and speaking to how my need being met is going to serve the we. And so in that, it's like, it's framing it more as this is in service to the we, as opposed to I, Courtney, want this and you need to give it to me. Yeah. Do you have some more examples, love?
Well, the juicy parts is when we're in a rupture. Some of the most disarming language and communication that I've noticed is, hey, it's incredible to watch the power of this in both of our nervous systems when either one of us really draws on it is, hey, I'm noticing that we've had a misunderstanding. Hey, I'm noticing that we're not fully hearing each other here. Hey, I'm noticing that we're both feeling disconnected.
I'm noticing we both really want to feel connected, but we don't.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed that both of our needs are here and there. It's feeling a bit clunky of how both of our needs get met here. Oh, I'm noticing that, wow, I can see we're both, this is a powerful one that I've loved. Wow, I can see that we're both really trying. Like I can see that we're disconnected and we're both trying so hard to come back to connection. Wow, I can see that, we want to be connected. That's why we're here in the crunch. And oh my God, it's just been, it just like blows my heart open. Like, oh yeah, yeah, okay, it's not just about me. Because I notice when it's you, me, finger pointing, or I don't feel this by you, it just hits this place that starts to stir up shame. It starts to create what's wrong, oh, I'm not. And then I can watch it myself. It creates the, oh, I can never do enough or whatever it is. Everyone's inner dialogue is going to be different around it, but it dissolves all of that. And it's like, oh yeah, we're in this together. Like my subconscious gets to show me in my conscious what starts to come for the fruits of the labor of speaking in sacred we is, oh, I want to connect. Oh, that she does care. Oh, I matter. And then I want to, what can I offer? I want to provide that too. And then I can really feel where we just going to sink into that allyship.
And it's amazing, right? Like words and how we speak really either activate or reassure the nervous system. And this is the thing to understand. So we are talking about speaking to each other's conscious minds, but really we're talking about speaking to each other's nervous systems. So when, like, theoretically, I should be able to say whatever, and Mike should be able to consciously make sense of what I'm saying. But really, the way we use words either amplifies stress and threat or reassures and soothes and calms. And so it's like literally these little trigger words that we're speaking that are either notifying the nervous system of safety or unsafety. When we use we language, it's automatically disarming, it's automatically soothing, it's automatically, oh, this is a friendly person. And so we could even be approaching with friendliness and so much care and kindness. But if we are using words that are not of the we space, not of the sacred we, it can be interpreted by the nervous system as threatening, even if our partner's saying it in a loving way. And the second that we say the together we words, it's like, oh, okay, this is an ally. And then we don't have to say the words, I am safe, I do care about you, I do want to hear you, because we're signaling it with that language.
Yeah, because that language is connection. If somebody has enough adult online, if they're in their prefrontal cortex, we will have the capacity to say we. That's like it comes from enough safety inside to mobilize and be like, oh yeah, we had a misunderstanding. Oh, I want us to figure this out. Like some of the things I've loved that you've said is this really matters to me and I want to figure this out for us. Like we can do this. Like, oh, we're just experiencing one of the normal little bumps relationally. Like we're different. These things happen and we're doing great. Like I love those reassuring moments because if you can say we, that's telling my body, oh, she wants to connect to me, which disconfirms all of those stories that are just playing out in my subconscious. I'm not like choosing it fully in the reactivity of it, but you're just disarming all the leverage that ego structure inside is being like, she's out to get me. Like, yeah, but she said we, man. Oh, she's taking ownership, dude. Oh, she did speak to that. It's like, I can't even fight the threat. The perceived threat just starts to, fall apart.
Yeah. And so Thanks for hanging out and sticking around. We've got...
Before that,
Oh,
and just to highlight and just a touch point is, we gave lots of space to the language and the verbiage, but part of the communication is with our body, our nervous system's tracking and looking. So when we're having these conversations, when we're, talking about the sacred we space, part of the digging deep is making eye contact, like actually looking at the person you're relating with, because our systems are tracking for that. It's proven if we're making eye contact, that starts to disarm all these, perceived threats, because we're in the present moment looking at the person right in front of us, not scanning all the past, harms and threats and how this is happening again. So just naming the body is a part of it, body language. And one of the most helpful tools for the places where, oh God, I am triggered and I'm not fully online and I probably don't look super warm and comforting, is just communicate what's happening inside. Well, as an example, one thing that I'll do with Courtney, like, hey, just so you know, I'm going to say the thing that my sense is what you're needing from me. But if you're noticing that it doesn't look really warm and inviting, I'm just spiraling in shame over here. And that's probably what you're looking at in my facial expressions. And then that's even disarming because it's nurturing and caring about how things are being perceived, which feeds the we. Just wanted to add that.
okay. So the bonus. So we are going to share with you an actual map that you can use in the day-to-day to speak in a way that creates the together space. So first step. You're in a moment, you're needing to communicate something. The first step is checking in with yourself. What is it that I'm needing to say and what am I needing? So we want to get clear in ourselves. Maybe it's even journaling if you have that much space, or maybe it's just doing that inside. What am I needing to say and what is the need that I'm having? Number 2, we need to feel into the impact of what would happen if we don't express this in a relational we way. Do you want to speak to that, Mike?
Well, yeah, the leverage here that's changed my life is going right to the nitty gritty, deepest, darkest impact of like, I will die younger. It's like, you almost don't need more than that. You will be dumping cortisol and you will die sooner. You're choosing to die sooner if you don't lean into the connection right now.
And look older. You're going to look more older and haggard.
Wrinkles, and you're going to not be able to perform as much sexually.
Your bowels are going to be all like, and you're going to have all kinds of stuff happening.
Yeah. You might manifest cancer. And
yeah. Okay. Number 3, tune into the sacred we. So then actually take a moment and tune into it. Tune into the sacred we. Feel into the sacred we as a good place, as a place that loves you and where you've had love. Tune into it. Use it as a resource. Let your body feel that sacred we. Connect in with it. Even sometimes you have to like reach through the part that doesn't want to practice noticing it. You can even think of the last moment you felt really connected, I like to think of moments where Mike and I have made love and there's been lots of pleasure and touch and eye contact, and it helps me, oh yeah. And then the last one, most important one, is how can I say this as a we statement? So exactly what I want to communicate, how do I just change that into a we statement? Same communication as a we statement. And, at first you might have to sit down and journal a bit about this. Like, okay, think of a few things you might want to communicate with your partner. How could I say this as a we statement? But you can start to stretch that muscle. And we gave you some examples of this. Stretch that muscle and practice it. And you can start to just use it in daily life, and even with your children. Not you need to do this. In our family, we do things like this.
Oh,
yeah.
So good. Beautiful. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this one. This is a game changer. Like, this is foundational to our together work, to really live the way of together, to tend this sacred we space. This is foundational. This is the day-to-day practice, the communication, how to deliver, how to get your needs met, to meet your partner. It's a game changer.
And so if you want to deepen into the we space, like if the sacred we invite you to tune into our sales page, reach out to talk about the Together community. We have an online community for conscious couples that comes together twice a month, every 2 weeks, and we dive into sacred practices together. We do teachings. We coach couples on the spot. It's a space for you to practice with your partner, to have another couple embodying the practice, and we can answer questions and guidance in the places that are sticky. And it's really a touch point for you to actually integrate this work into your life. It's helpful for couples. I watch it in them to have every 2 weeks. We know that we're going to meet for 2 hours and we're going to practice together. We're going to have prompts to talk about the things that maybe we don't talk about, or to practice something we normally wouldn't make space for. And what will happen is you will watch yourself walking the steps, walking this process of the sacred we, just naturally, because you're carving out the time to get support, to practice, and to watch other couples doing the same. And you'll become more vital, you'll become healthier, and then your life will overflow with abundance because you are connecting in with the importance of that Together we space.
And this is where, the community that we've created gets to be your ally, gets to be your accountability buddy, because those calls are in your schedule that bring you two together. And it brings you into the teachings, the practice, and that relational space where it actually becomes a lot easier. Mm-hmm. And we've watched that, which is why we created it. When we see couples joining with similar aligned intentions, magic happens. There's just something that can't even be explained in words that happens when just couples unify in this way.
And I just want to speak to any of you that notice a contraction. I could never be that vulnerable and open. No, we're not going to bring our relationship into a community space because we notice that couples work is vulnerable. I just want to speak to you directly. That contraction is not real in the sense of the projection is it won't be safe, we'll be judged, we'll have problems that other couples don't. I think that's the fear. We'll be the more unwell couple, or we won't know what to say. There's all these things. But the thing is, when you come into the space, you get to choose how vulnerable you want to be with the group. And you also get to choose what you want to share and how you want to share. So you can find your own way in there. And what everybody realizes, their face goes like this: oh, this is liberating. This isn't scary. This is exactly what we needed. And so many people feel called to, like, we're just going to go off in an isolated way and work with a therapist together so that people don't have to see us in our process. But it's actually joining other couples and being in process that's the deeper healing. It's the deeper sacred we. And so just challenging any of those crunches you might be feeling and get curious, what could happen?
And it actually leads to your own personal awakening. It's like the expedited path, because that's how we're actually meant to function. It's repairing the disconnect in our culture and actually just coming back to the circle and being like, oh yeah, we're all human. We all fuck up sometimes and fumble around, but whoa, we're in this together. And I've loved watching couples have the insight and realization and the relief inside of their bodies when they witness another couple reveal the thing they thought they would never reveal. And they're like, oh, that was so inspiring. Oh, it would be really inspiring for others, for us to do that too. And then it actually just becomes this really safe playground to share the things that maybe have been hidden behind closed doors for such a long time.
And to discover too, oh, this isn't a you, me, there's something wrong with us. This is a thing that all couples are learning. All couples are dancing with. Oh, this is a collective couple thing. And that is liberating, because then you get to learn the tools to move through those places and discover, oh, there's a way through. Yeah.
And one of the safest things is, just like we do in the podcast, we reveal all of our crunchy bits. So we're in it with you. We might be in certain places a few steps ahead. That's what places us in the facilitation role, but we will also share the places where we're still working on it. We're in the practice of it. And if the people at the front are also going through it, it makes it a lot easier and safer to speak to it. And so if you got value from this, first of all, if you, the community, just scroll down in the show notes. There's a link there. Click the link. That'll bring you through a landing page. If it resonates, there's a checkout section there. And we'd love to see you in the community. And if you got value from this in any way, shape, or form, please go over and give this a 5-star rating. It would be so helpful to us. It really helps the podcast reach a greater audience, which we are on a mission to reach more and more people, more couples. Thank you. We appreciate you guys so much. Till the next one.